Sitting on the edge of a breakthrough, poised after seed funding, there's this raw, suffocating frustration creeping in, the kind that burns deep in the gut, because the promises made in glossy pitch decks suddenly feel like cruel jokes. You know that moment, when the money lands, the excitement peaks, and yet somehow the whole go-to-market plan, that carefully crafted roadmap to victory, starts unraveling faster than you could imagine. It's a slow-motion crash, but it hurts every second. Why? Because underneath all the hope and hype, founders and leaders realize the battle they actually face wasn't with investors' questions or product-market fit. It's with the brutal truth of execution. Execution that demands way more than just capital. This pain, this collapse, it's not because the team is weak or the idea is bad. It's that the design of the GTM plan, the lifeline between the product and the people, was built on shaky assumptions nobody dared to confront. It was a house of cards masking misaligned priorities, misunderstood customers, and a lack of purposeful, granular focus. And here's the real punch. Seed funding doesn't solve those problems. Instead, it often blindsides teams into thinking the hardest part is over. The real enemy is the unseen chaos, internal friction, and the lack of a fierce, adaptive system fine-tuned to thrive in uncertainty. The system around funding, the culture, even the well-intentioned advisors, push founders to focus on scaling quickly. Yet nobody shouts loud enough about the importance of mastering the blueprint, the brutal, granular realities of go-to-market. It's sexy to talk about viral growth and massive launches, but the invisible work, the ruthless prioritization, the bone-deep understanding of buyer behavior, the pulse on distribution nuances, is the one that makes or breaks. The no-fluff truth is that most GTM plans are crafted by faith and confident guesses, not by bleeding, breathing customer insight. And that's where the betrayal happens. Investors see growth metrics stall, teams feel disconnected, and founder passion flickers. There's no sugarcoating it. Your GTM plan can only survive if it's built on an ecosystem of radical clarity and relentless adaptability. Imagine, just for a moment, a plan that doesn't just chase the shiny metrics, but that aligns every single part of the business, from product to sales to marketing and customer success, around a powerful, evolving understanding of the market and the real challenges your users face. That's the salvation most ignore. It's not a fancy framework. It's ruthless honesty combined with an obsession over execution details that others dismiss as boring or small. This starts with what most founders hate to admit. Massive uncertainty doesn't end after the seed round. It explodes. Investors don't hand you certainty. They hand you a torch to light your way through total darkness. And if your team has no map for navigating this dark, you're doomed. Investors want traction, but traction isn't traction if it's not repeatable and scalable. So many plans fall apart because the early wins were flukes or lucky timing. That's why the obsession with repeatable acquisition engines isn't just jargon, it's survival. If you can't prove you can hit the same numbers again and again, you're building on sand. And here's where many founders stumble, caught in the illusion that hiring more salespeople or throwing more cash at ads will cure everything. But that's a trap. Without an ironclad understanding of who exactly your buyer is, what scares them, what drives them, in raw emotion, not sanitized data, you're just throwing money into the void. The person buying your solution is human first. They have fears, doubts, and a story that must be honored. When your plan ignores this, it collapses spectacularly because the promise you sell isn't the promise they want or need. It's like trying to fix a fire by pouring water on plastic. The most successful go-to-market strategies are brutal in their simplicity, obsessed with the customer's raw truth, tuned viciously to feedback loops, and designed to test and pivot faster than the competition can blink. Founders who win after seed funding understand one deadly truth. They don't need a perfect plan. They need a plan that learns from brutal honesty every day. This means embedding a culture that not only loves data, but demands conversations with customers that feel uncomfortable, that dig deep into what's broken, and refuses to ignore symptoms for the sake of optics. This obsession with learning means one thing above all: ruthlessly killing what doesn't work without fear. The collapse of GTM plans often happens because teams cling to bad stories, bad strategies, bad assumptions. They hold on to the past pitch, the original target market, or product features that sounded good but don't solve urgent problems. The refusal to pivot, even when every sign screams change or die, is the silent killer. Seed funding can lull you into comfort. Be careful. The enemy isn't the money, it's the false security it brings. Another invisible killer strikes in the form of team misalignment. Founders know their vision feels like sacred ground, but if the people executing don't own that vision with the same fire or worst, they interpret it in a fractured way, the GTM engine sputters and fails. Communication melts under pressure, priorities compete, small cracks grow into chasms. Building synchronization in teams, so marketing, sales, product, and support move as one ruthless, agile unit, is not a nice to have. It's the beating heart of a surviving GTM plan. And this synchronization doesn't mean endless meetings or corporate fluff. It means brutally honest conversations where messiness is exposed openly, responsibility is shared fiercely, and egos are disarmed for the mission. It means building a culture that welcomes conflict because it sharpens truth, not polishes masks. If the team can't speak the brutal truths to one another, if they can't face failure without blame, the plan will die slowly but painfully. Every day someone avoids the hard talk, the plan drifts toward collapse. The financial pressure adds a psychological cage around founders too. The fear of disappointing investors, the pressure to report growth every quarter, the lure of fake it till you make it, traps many in acting rather than learning, in hiding problems rather than solving them. But hiding slow deaths never works in GTM. True leaders turn this pressure into fuel. They share real data, real challenges, and real plans to evolve. Vulnerability becomes a weapon, not weakness. Investors who are worth their salt want raw truth. The game changes when founders lean into honest conversations with backers, creating a partnership focused on grinding through reality, not comfortable myths. To rebuild and safeguard a GTM plan after seed funding, it demands building your own ecosystem of rare connections, people who burn with the same fire, who have tackled this invisible chaos, who don't settle for surface-level advice. This isn't about gathering crowds. It's about finding the few who challenge you deeply, who disrupt your thinking, who push you beyond safety. Founders stuck in traditional circles often end up parroting cliches. Liberation comes through connection with the fierce few who dare to pull the system apart and help rebuild it smarter and sharper. This network becomes the secret weapon that keeps your GTM plan alive in the wilderness of market chaos. The essence of what makes GTM plans collapse is not the external market or the investors, but the inner alignment and relentless clarity missing in the journey from idea to scale. The founders who crush it are those who become sovereign with their will, who question every assumption, who are patient enough to trust the long, grinding game, and who align themselves with rare individuals who amplify their essence. This is not standard startup advice. It's a call to transcend the rulebook, to burn through comfort zones, to embrace the rawness of the fight. Every second spent doubting the plan, feeling lost, or blaming external forces is a second wasted. The breakthrough comes when founders stop wishing for the plan to just work and start obsessing over what truly matters. A GTM plan alive with truth, fire, and connection. When the product, the market, the team, and the leadership pulse together with the same fierce heartbeat, no funding round will break the momentum, no market shift will topple the vision. This is not luck. It's a new form of power, raw, bold, and uncompromising. Embrace the chaos, tear down the illusions, Build your GTM plan not just to survive, but to ignite everything that seemed impossible. Because this fight, this collapse, and this renewal, this is where the real revolution starts. Those who learn to build this way don't just avoid failure after seed funding, they redefine what success looks like. They become the rare few who don't just play the game, but rewrite it, who don't just scale a startup, but unleash a movement. If the world forces illusions, be the one who refuses to buy in. Your GTM plan is your manifesto. Make it real, make it ruthless, make it unstoppable.